Melanie is a wife, a mom, a daughter, and a friend. Oh, she can get lost in a library, especially the children's section, and she loves to tell true stories, especially on Sunday mornings to young people. This will be her first Story Slam, and she hopes her Southern drawl will win you over. Let's welcome Melanie number 1 to the stage. Melanie number 1!
So I'm a virgin slammer. I'm just going to admit that. Is the mic okay? Can you hear? Okay. Church camp confessions. Church camp actually teaches girls to lie and then sends them home at the end of the summer with lots of badges, especially green and golden ones with the letters Honor Camper on them. I would know this because I have a paperback Bible stuffed full of Honor Camper badges. The thing about church summer camp is sometimes you know that you are lying, and sometimes you've even fooled yourself. I want to tell you that on Wednesday, breakfast campfires, we were never fooling ourselves. There was not one of us girls who enjoyed that slightly warm sausage wrapped in charred biscuit dough. And yet we said we did. Yum. Not one of us thought that we would be able to survive in the wilderness and make our own fire. Heck, they did not even let us light the match. And yet, every summer I went home with a wilderness survival badge to my name. When I grew up, 19 years old, I decided I'd go back to church summer camp and change the whole thing. And I decided along with it, I would change myself. Lucky for me, camp counselors were always grouped in units. And Rebecca was my next door cabin counselor. Rebecca actually liked to play with fire. And so you see, even though I'm 49 and still have trouble lighting matches, even that summer when I was 19, I didn't have to pretend. I just let Rebecca do it each and every Wednesday morning. Rebecca also came in handy that week when my afternoon swim time was in jeopardy. I'd like to tell you about my afternoon swim time. It entailed gathering cabin number 9 up, all the girls, and lining them through that dirt walkway into the gate around the 8-foot pool. And me, sitting on that lounge chair, sunglasses on with a book in her hand, pretending to read so no one would dare speak to me. It was my alone time. And yet, here came this one Monday when 11-year-old freckled-faced gangly girl I believed was about to ruin it. She had already told me that her stomach hurt. And by lunchtime, I was getting really, really worried about her. So after lunch, during siesta, I took myself on over to Rebecca's cabin, and I asked Rebecca if I could borrow a box of tampons. A box? She said. Yep, the whole box. I mean, Rebecca, I promise I'll replace them by weekend. Sure, she handed them off to me, and I went on back to cabin 9 where everything was going to be oh so fine. I called that little girl in the top bunk to come on down, and I took her out on our back porch. And I looked into her eyes, and I said, "Oh, sweetie, have you got your period this week?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am." I want to tell you, when a camper calls you ma'am and you're only 19 years old, you in a lot of trouble. I said, "Is it your first time?" "Oh, no, ma'am," she said, and the sigh just went right out of me. I was saved from that one. I took that box and I handed it to this little girl, and I said, "Here, use one of these, and you can go swimming in a little while." "Oh, no, ma'am," she said, "no, ma'am." "What do you mean?" "I never used one of those. I don't even know if my mama has any of those in the bathroom at home." "There ain't nothing to it," I said. "Here, let's read the directions together." And so we got that box out, and I read them. There's 4 directions on the Tampax box. I am so glad Rebecca didn't get the generic kind. And yet, she still looked a little leery of the whole thing. I said, "You can do it, honey. I know you can. I mean, do you want to miss swimming afternoon for the entire week?" Pretending pretty good I was, 'cause she grabbed that box from me, went into the bathroom, and about an hour later, when it was time to line up for swimming, I saw that girl in cabin 9 line with a bikini on. I'm going to tell y'all, bikinis ain't allowed at church summer camp, but I figured that girl had survived enough for the day, so I let it be. That night, I did what I always did. Lights out, I went on the back porch and sat in my rocker. I never did go to the mess hall, they call it, where lights out was time for staff party. And I see Rebecca trudging on down the pathway. And then I see her slow up. And then I watch her as she climbs the steps and sits on the rocker beside me. I was not looking forward to this, not one little bit. She looks at me and she says, "Melanie, why are you such a loner?" Well, I figured old Rebecca had helped me out a lot this summer, and I owed her something. So I said, "To tell you the truth, Rebecca, when I signed up to be a church camp counselor, I prayed to the Lord, and I said, 'Lord, this summer will you teach me truth in the inner parts?'" "The what?" Rebecca said. The inmost parts is a psalm," I told her. She said, "I know it's a psalm, but what does it mean?" And I'm going to tell y'all, I confess right now, I didn't know what it meant. And as I sat there, worried about where this conversation was going to go, Rebecca moved on to another subject, one I was afraid she would get to, and she said, "How long do you think it's going to take for her to figure it out?" I said, "Figure out what?" "Figure out you ain't never, ever in your life ever used a tampon." "Shh," I said. "You know what, Rebecca? You is about the worst camp counselor I have ever met in my whole entire life." And I looked over, and the girl had tears coming out of her eyes. You laugh. But I knew exactly what to say to her, because all summer she had been trying to be just like me, just like a counselor that could pretend. Well, I could pretend like nobody else could. I could take an orange Tic Tac, put it in a medicine bottle, and cure every tummy ache that came when nightfall rose. Yes, I could. So I decided I'd be nice to her. I said, "Hey, Rebecca, do you want me to tell you a secret?" "Yeah, I want you to tell me a secret. A secret other than the fact that you ain't never used a tampon, because I figured that out on my own." I said, "Do you ever wondered why I sit off on that recliner thing by the pool and read a book sitting out in the blazing hot sun every day?" "I just figured you's on your period." "For weeks, Rebecca? We've been here for weeks." "Yeah, I guess that's right," she said. "So why is it that you always sit in that chair by the pool?" "I can't swim." "I can't swim," I said. She burst out laughing, and I wanted to whop her up top the head, because you never want to wake a cabin full of campers that's already snoring. She took off down the steps, and I knew where she was headed. She was headed for that dining hall, and the rest of the people that worked on staff at Camp La Vida in Winsboro, South Carolina. Everybody was going to know I couldn't swim. I was madder than hell, and I stayed up a long time that night. But let me tell you that the next morning when I woke up, I was determined. And when swim time came, I took that tampon box. I went in that bathroom, and I shoved that cardboard up inside me, y'all. I tugged that string, made sure it was in there tight, and I put on my one piece. And I was the first in line for cabin 9. I went out there, and y'all, Rebecca was already there in the pool with her campers, and they was waiting to get baptized. So I got in that line, and when I got up to Rebecca, she says in her preacher voice, "I believe you've already done this one time, young lady." And I said, "Let's just get it over with. I need to be rededicated." She put her hand on my head, and y'all, she pushed hard, and she held me down there long. And I believe when I was down there, I could hear her saying, "I'll rebaptize you, my sister." I came up flailing and squealing, and they say that I said, "I don't even like pigs in a blanket." Everybody laughed. And to tell you the truth, I kind of felt better. But the funniest thing is next week during breakfast, Campfire Wednesday, Rebecca was over there making the fire, and I opened up that cooler that we get from the mess hall that has all that stuff in it that we pretend to make. And inside it, there I saw, y'all, chocolate bars, big old bag of marshmallows, box of graham crackers. I felt somebody come up from behind me, and I was pretty sure it was Rebecca, and she whispers in my ear, "The truth shall set you free." And I said, "Hallelujah, you are the best camp counselor in all the land after all."